Shutter Components Australia on-site installation. For a 50mm round tube or axle, you need to remove the end plug, insert and attach the drive wheel, and then clip the end plug back into position. For a 60mm octagonal axle or tube, you'll need to slide the crown over the entire motor, then attach it to the opposing end, making sure that you line up the little splines. Then attach the drive wheel and then clip the end plug back into position. Here we are marking off where the drive wheel will sit inside of the top tube, or as otherwise known, axle, and we are measuring between here and here. And then we place the motor inside the axle. You will need to drill through the aluminium and plastic with a 3mm drill bit, and then pop a rivet in position and repeat the process on the opposing side, making sure that you keep it in line to the first rivet. To make drilling easier, there are lines in the extrusion to help guide your drill bit and keep it steady. These exist in both the 50mm and 60mm tubes, as indicated here. So you can now move to preparing the headbox of the shutter. Again, using your drill bit, make 2 holes on the top of the headbox and then rivet end plates into position. Also, do the same on the rear of the shutter on one location at either end. Once this is done, prepare the front of the headbox by pre-drilling the holes ready for the front and bottom rivets to be put in place. Just don't rivet it in place just yet. This step just makes the last step of installation a lot easier. You need to place the bracket in such a way that the motor cable will exit downwards. You will need to drill and rivet this at 4 locations. Don't forget to install these slat guides. Now is the time to secure the headbox. This is done using many methods. The one shown here is only possible when the headbox is directly below a timber eave. Please consult with a builder or carpenter if you're unsure of how to best fix your shutter to your structure. We are going to be using this, the face fix channel. When marking out your drilling positions for the side channels, a good rule of thumb is to put the track on the brick face at the height it will be starting and stopping at, making sure that it's vertical, and then count down 2 bricks from the top, marking those, and then 2 bricks from the bottom, and then dividing the number of bricks in the middle by 2, and then marking your height on both points on the nearest full brick. Put both slats side by side and mark these locations from one track to the other, making sure they match. Use a 5 and 9.5mm drill bit for preparing the tracks. With the 5mm bit, drill through the track completely at your marked locations within the square hollow section of the tracks. Make sure they are all done evenly, and then to complete the process, drill a larger hole with the 9.5mm drill bit, making sure that you do not go right the way through the track. This allows a plug to be put in later and cover up your holes. Crimp the ends to ensure the brushes don't move and cut off any excess. Always make sure at this point the track is vertical as possible, then reinstall your tracks using the holes as guides, drill into your brick face or screw into your timber. In this case we have brick that we're fixing to, so the hole is in the center of the brick. This reduces the chances of any brick blowout. Now hammer in your fixings, whatever they may be. In this case we're using plugs. Screw through and into position. And you may find you need to apply a little bit of pressure to get the holes to line up, as brick fixing can be difficult. Then drill a nice big hole that is big enough to fit your cable through. Make sure that it is at a location that will allow the electrician to run the lead up and into your wall, roof or ceiling space. Now you need to install the slats, or curtain, into the channels. But be cautious that with large shutters this can end up falling quickly and out of control. Please ensure that you take care. If you end up being given too many slats, just slide and remove them until they line up with just under the inside of the headbox. On the top slat, you install the springs. They hold the axle, or top tube, to the curtain. At this point, you should call your electrician and get them to connect the power so you can set up your motor limits. Now put your pre-prepared motor into position by clicking the motor end first, into the bracket, and then following by extending the telescopic end and screwing it into position. Spread the springs out evenly on the top slat. Drill straight through using one of the extrusion guides to hold the springs in place, and use a rivet as shown. Please note that with the spring closest to the motor end, make sure that it is far enough away from the motor, as you will damage the motor if you drill into the tube where the motor is. You'll need to obtain a test kit from Shutter Components Australia. This allows you to safely control the motor up and down while setting the limits. Drive the motor upwards, noting that there are little plus and minus symbols on the head of the motor, indicating your ability to increase or decrease the distance of the up or down limits. For more information, see the motor instruction booklet. Now make the motor drive downwards, making sure that there are no snags and that it runs smoothly and correctly. The motor brake makes a little noise as it starts and stops during setting. This is normal and happens twice on every movement from the motor. Use this time to make sure that you have installed the motor with the cable pointing downwards. You can wrap around the bracket and upwards, but it must first point down. This stops water from entering and damaging the motor via the cable. Now make sure that the cable is kept out of the way of the slats, as it may be caught from the slats and cause fault. Always make sure that any holes that are made are securely covered, filled, or patched, as these are all water access points. Make sure that you use one end as the leading edge and check to make sure the headbox cover does not buckle, bow, or sag while riveting it into position. This process requires attention to the lining up of the holes to get the rivets in position and may require some assistance. Finally, put in the plugs and finish off the job.